You're exhausted despite sleeping 8 hours. Your relationships are crumbling for no logical reason. Opportunities that seemed guaranteed vanish at the last moment. Medical tests come back normal, yet you feel fundamentally unwell. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone, and it might not be coincidence. In Islamic tradition, we understand that the unseen world is as real as the physical one, and sometimes what appears to be bad luck or stress is actually something far more deliberate. The Quran itself acknowledges the reality of witchcraft and spiritual attacks, particularly in Surah Al-Baqarah, where it describes those who seek to separate spouses through dark practices. Today, we're examining 7 signs that distinguish ordinary hardship from potential spiritual attack, signs that countless people experience yet rarely recognize. Understanding these patterns isn't about paranoia. It's about spiritual awareness and knowing when to seek the protection that Allah has already provided for us. Peace be upon you all. What I'm about to share with you today isn't designed to create fear or paranoia. Rather, it's about spiritual awareness, recognizing the difference between life's natural challenges and something more insidious that may be operating beneath the surface. The reality is that many people suffer for years, sometimes decades, without understanding what they're truly facing. They blame themselves, question their faith, or simply resign themselves to a life that feels inexplicably difficult. But Islamic tradition has always acknowledged both the seen and unseen realms, and with that acknowledgement comes practical guidance for protection. Let's explore 7 signs that scholars and spiritual practitioners have identified as potential indicators of sihr, signs that deserve your attention not because they guarantee spiritual attack, but because they warrant deeper investigation and spiritual fortification. That we all know what normal tiredness feels like. You work a long day, your muscles ache, you sleep well, and you wake up refreshed. This isn't that kind of tiredness. This exhaustion is different. It follows you everywhere, settling into your bones regardless of how much rest you get. You wake up feeling as though you haven't slept at all. Simple conversations drain you. Activities you once enjoyed now feel like climbing mountains. The most unsettling aspect? Medical examinations reveal nothing wrong. Your blood work is normal. Your vital signs are healthy. Doctors suggest stress or recommend lifestyle changes, but deep in your heart, you know this feels fundamentally different from ordinary burnout. Islamic scholars note that sihr can manifest as an energetic drain that operates beyond the physical realm. Your body may rest, but your spirit remains depleted. Your muscles function normally, but your motivation collapses without explanation. This isn't about dismissing medical advice. Always seek proper health care. But when months pass with persistent exhaustion that defies medical explanation, it's worth considering whether something in the unseen realm is drawing away your vitality. If you've experienced weeks or months of this strange, inexplicable tiredness, ask yourself, is this simply life's burden, or is something actively draining my spiritual energy? Everyone experiences an occasional nightmare. You wake up shaken, your heart racing, but by breakfast, the memory fades and life continues normally. The dreams associated with sihr are distinctly different. They don't fade. They cling to you throughout the day like shadows you can't shake off. These dreams often contain specific, recurring imagery: snakes, scorpions, shadowy figures, or scenes of yourself falling, drowning, or running without ever reaching safety. Sometimes there's blood, graves, or menacing figures pursuing you. And critically, these aren't isolated incidents. The same disturbing images replay night after night, as though someone is deliberately projecting them into your subconscious. The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, taught us that disturbing dreams can originate from shaitan rather than from Allah. Many Islamic scholars note that recurring nightmares, especially those featuring particular symbols, can indicate spiritual attack. But the harm extends beyond the dreams themselves. They follow you into your waking hours. You feel heavy, unsettled, paranoid. You begin avoiding sleep because you dread what you'll encounter when you close your eyes. What's particularly telling is the timing. These nightmares often begin precisely when your life is shifting towards something positive, right before marriage, just before starting a new job, on the cusp of a significant breakthrough. It's as though an unseen force is attempting to block your progress toward blessing. When your nights turn against you, when sleep transforms from rest into an ambush, that's when you need to pause and consider whether these are merely dreams or something more deliberate. Every family argues. Every couple has disagreements. This is normal and human. But conflicts rooted in see her carry a different quality. They emerge from nowhere, escalate with shocking intensity, and leave emotional scars long after the words have been spoken. One moment, your home is peaceful. The next, it's filled with shouting over something so trivial you can't even remember what sparked it. Love transforms into suspicion. Trust dissolves into distance. A marriage that felt secure suddenly feels fragile, as though invisible hands are systematically pulling apart the threads that bind you together. The Quran itself addresses this in Surah Al-Baqarah 2-102, describing how some people learned witchcraft by which they caused separation between a man and his wife. This has been one of Sihr's oldest and most destructive applications, turning hearts against each other, planting whispers that sour affection and create restlessness in homes that should be sanctuaries. The deepest pain comes not from the arguments themselves, but from how profoundly unnatural they feel. Warmth turns to ice overnight. You look at someone you love and suddenly feel only anger or irritation. The emotional shifts are so rapid and severe that they defy normal human psychology. If you're experiencing constant, unexplained conflict, fights that never seem to resolve, a persistent heaviness between people who used to bring each other lightness, this may not be ordinary relationship stress. It could be a sign that something in the unseen realm is targeting the very bonds meant to provide you safety and support. And that's the particular cruelty of this form of attack. It doesn't always assault your body directly. Sometimes it comes for your relationships, poisoning the connections that should be your greatest source of strength. You prepare thoroughly. You send applications, attend interviews, make connections. Everything appears promising. And then, suddenly and inexplicably, it collapses. The job offer disappears. The business deal falls through. The financial opportunity you were counting on never materializes. Initially, you attribute it to bad luck or poor timing. But when this pattern repeats itself, when every opportunity slips away at the final moment, it begins to feel less like coincidence and more like obstruction. It's as though your life has been placed on pause, while everyone around you continues moving forward. In Islamic understanding, envy, hasad, and sihr are deeply connected. Sometimes attacks don't target you directly. They target your rizq, sustenance, your opportunities, your forward momentum. The result is a life that feels systematically blocked, regardless of how much effort you invest. You watch doors open for others while yours consistently shut just as you're about to walk through them. This creates one of the heaviest psychological burdens, the hopelessness that gradually takes root in your heart. You begin doubting your abilities, questioning whether you're somehow cursed, wondering if anything good is destined for you. But the reality may be that something is actively interfering with your sustenance, keeping you trapped in a cycle of near success followed by inexplicable collapse. If you felt like opportunities keep slipping through your fingers without logical explanation, like invisible forces are pulling success just beyond your reach, it may not be your effort that's inadequate. It could be a sign that sihr is attempting to suffocate your rizq. There's a particular heaviness that some people experience the moment they enter their own home. Outside, they're fine, laughing, engaged, energized. But the instant they cross the threshold, something shifts. The walls seem to press inward. The chest tightens without reason. Minor frustrations trigger disproportionate reactions. This manifests in sleep disturbances as well. You lie down, but rest never truly comes. You toss and turn, waking at the slightest sound. Children wake up screaming from nightmares, refusing to sleep alone. During daylight hours, no matter how much you clean or how many lights you turn on, The house maintains a heavy, uncomfortable atmosphere, as though it's carrying something unseen. Islam teaches that the home should be a place of sakina, tranquility, and peace. But sihr, particularly when connected to jinn, can completely invert that peace. Instead of comfort, you feel restlessness. Instead of safety, you feel watched. This doesn't always manifest dramatically. Objects don't necessarily fly across rooms. Sometimes it's simply that constant unease, the arguments that start without cause, the way family members find reasons to avoid being home, the pervasive sense that something is wrong even when everything appears normal. When your home no longer feels like a sanctuary, when the place that should heal you begins to drain you instead, that's when you need to ask, is this truly just stress, or is there an unseen presence pressing against the spiritual boundaries of your dwelling? You visit the doctor repeatedly. They conduct blood tests, imaging scans, comprehensive examinations. Everything returns normal, and yet you continue to feel genuinely unwell. The headaches arrive without warning and refuse to leave. There's tightness in your chest that makes you genuinely worried about your heart, but cardiac tests show nothing abnormal. You experience sudden dizziness, random stomach pain, or a strange heaviness throughout your body that medication never seems to address. Initially, you blame stress, then diet, then lack of proper sleep. But after months, sometimes years, of pursuing answers that never materialize, frustration sets in. You begin wondering if people think you're imagining your symptoms. Even family members grow weary of hearing, "I don't feel well." This is where sihr can operate in particularly hidden ways. Not every illness has a medical origin. Sometimes the body carries the weight of an unseen attack, manifesting symptoms that doctors cannot detect because they're operating in a realm beyond standard medical instruments. This is precisely why ruqya, spiritual healing, has always been part of Islamic tradition, not as a replacement for medicine, but as recognition that not every wound is visible, not every affliction originates in the physical body. If you've lived with illness that makes no medical sense, pain that leaves no detectable trace, or fatigue that no examination can explain, it may not be that your body is broken. It could be that something is attacking you through channels that only the unseen realm can access. Perhaps the most spiritually alarming sign of sihr isn't found in your body, your dreams, or your relationships. It's in your heart's relationship with Allah. You used to pray regularly. Opening the Quran brought you peace. Sitting in dhikr softened your soul. But now, everything feels different. The prayer mat feels impossibly heavy. You delay salah until the final moments before time expires. When you finally stand in prayer, it feels hollow and disconnected. The Quran sits on your shelf for weeks, and when you try to open it, your mind wanders uncontrollably. Your chest feels blocked. Your eyes refuse to focus on the verses. Even making dua feels impossible, as though the words are trapped in your throat before they can reach your lips. This transcends ordinary laziness. Laziness comes and goes, affected by circumstances and energy levels. But sihr can wrap around the heart like chains, pulling you away from Allah in a manner that feels profoundly unnatural. The very practices that once brought you comfort now feel insurmountably difficult to reach. As this distance persists, guilt compounds. You ask yourself, why can't I worship like I used to? What's wrong with me? And that's perhaps the cruelest dimension of this attack. It doesn't merely assault your body or your opportunities. It attempts to suffocate the one connection that matters most, your relationship with your Creator. But here's the essential truth you must remember. Even when sihr pushes you away from worship, Allah remains near. The very fact that you notice this distance, that you want to return, is evidence that your heart hasn't been captured. Because no matter how heavy the spiritual attack feels, the Quran assures us that falsehood is inherently weak and Allah's light can never be extinguished. Not every hardship indicates sihr. Sometimes exhaustion is genuinely medical. Sometimes relationships struggle due to natural incompatibility or communication issues. Sometimes opportunities fall through due to market conditions or circumstances beyond anyone's control. But when these signs accumulate, when exhaustion, conflict, blocked opportunities, and spiritual distance crash together in your life, it's worth pausing to consider whether something in the unseen realm is pressing against you. Here's what you must internalize. Sihr is real. It can disturb, harm, and shake you, but it can never overpower the protection of Allah. The Quran is healing. Ruqya is healing. Dua is healing. And Allah's light will always prove stronger than the darkness of envy or witchcraft. If any of these signs resonated with your experience, don't fall into fear. Fall into dhikr. Return to the Quran. Seek legitimate ruqya from knowledgeable practitioners. Most importantly, trust that nothing reaches you without Allah's permission, and nothing can hold you if He decides to release you. I encourage you to share a simple dua in the comments. Ya Allah, protect me and my family from every evil, seen and unseen. You never know whose Ameen might rise to the heavens alongside yours. Remember this always. The world contains many shadows, but no shadow can survive when Allah brings His light. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.